Welcome to another Synfig tutorial, and today we will be animating a very simple scene. And for the animation, we'll be making this basketball go through this hoop. Now, some things to consider when you're animating a scene. Typically, you would have had a story. You would have had a storyboard worked out as well as an animatic. So you would have known the timing and all of that, and you'd have gathered your references. I don't have any storyboards. I don't have a story. The only thing that I know that I want to do is that I want to make this ball go through the hoop. All right. But just keep that in mind that you typically have a story and storyboard, etc. Right now, it would be good to gather some references of of someone throwing a basketball through a hoop or basketballs going through a hoop. Always gather references whenever you're animating, but for our purposes here, we won't be gathering any references. But just remember that it's always good to gather your references. All right. Now, with that said, let us begin. All right. So we know the goal. How do we get there? Right now, I know that you'd be very eager to just turn on the animate button and just start moving the object from here to here to here or wherever, but it takes a bit of planning to get it right. All right, so first we're going to block out the scene and work out the trajectory and all of that. So I'm just going to take my sketch tool here and I'm going to work out where I want the trajectory of the ball. And always remember your 12 principles of animation when you're animating. All right. If you don't know what the 12 principles of animation are, I have videos on those, or you could just go on Google and search. All right. So the ball will come from here and it will create an arc and basically come into the net here. I probably will have it bounce on it somehow, some way, but I'm not sure yet. But once it comes through, I want it to hit the ground, bounce up a bit, something like that, and then go out of screen like this. All right. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's a start. All right. Now I'm going to put some markers on the line to indicate the spacing of the ball. I haven't worked out the timing yet, but we'll work out the spacing. So another thing to consider is how will the ball move? I mean, is it that there's a very thick breeze that comes in and blows it up, or someone throws it through the net, or the ball has a life of its own? We don't know. But for our purposes here, we're going to make it so that the ball is a character, so the ball can move on its own. Okay. All right, so it would keeping the principles of animation in mind. It will squash, and then it would stretch up, and then we'd have to work out how fast the ball would move along this line here. So I'm thinking probably here, and it would move very speedily. And then when it gets to about here, it would probably start slowing down. Boom, hits the net, and then it slows down until it gets here. And of course, it would slow down rapidly until it comes to a stop. All right. So something like that. I mean, it's not the best, but we'll work with that. All right. So again, you don't just jump in and start animating. Okay. You work out, you map out what you want to do. All right. So I'm going to get ready to start animating now. I think this is all that we need. So first thing I'm going to do is go to the keyframe section. Let me put this back. I just accidentally took it out and I hate this initial keyframe. So I'm going to delete it. I don't want that keyframe. All right. And I'm going to go to frame 1 here. And I'm going to change the keyframe to constant. Now we'll be blocking out the scene before we go ahead and do full animation. All right, now that's very important. And again, I know that it would whenever you're animating, you just want to get into the fun stuff of it, just start animating left and right, but there's a process, right? So we'll work with the constant keyframes first to block out the scene, and then after that we'll go further. So I'm going to turn on that animate button now, and I'm going to click on my ball, and my ball is not rigged yet, so let me turn off the animate button, and I'm just going to move this onto my object here. All right, now you could rig the ball with bones, but I haven't done that. And if you wanted to get this into the center, you could I have a circle here and I have the group. We could copy the origin points of the circle and put it onto the ball here. Actually, let us go ahead and do that. I'm going to open up Notepad. I'm going to click my circle here. Let me move this notepad over so you can see it. All right. So yeah, I'm going to copy the origin points for the circle here. So copy, paste, and I'm going to copy this one here and paste it here. All right. And we're going to go to the group layer. That's the group for the ball. And on the origin point, we're just going to paste those same values, right? So that we have the same values working with. So as soon as I paste them, I'm going to press enter, enter, and the origin point is now in the same place as the origin point for the circle is in the same place as the group. All right. And if you've watched my tutorial on plugins, there is a plugin to put the point in the center, but if you don't have that plugin, then you can do it this way, or you manually try to move the point there. All right, so let's go. Okay, so turn on animate, and now we'll have to figure out what we want to add keyframe to. Now we know that we'll be moving the ball, so we want to add a keyframe to the origin point. The ball, of course, it would make sense for the ball to rotate, so we'd have to create a keyframe for the rotation point here, as well as I may be squashing and stretching the ball. So for these 2 points, we will need keyframes for them. We won't be scaling the ball, so we won't need this. All right, now let's get started. So I'm going to click the origin point, and if it accidentally moves, because Synfig is very sensitive, just Control Z to undo, and just move the ball up a bit and then move it back down. Actually, I'm going to put it right on this line here. And remember, you have to move it to get that keyframe. So I'm just going to click on the rotation point here, move it slightly, and I'm going to click on it again and just move it back down just to get that rotation keyframe. And we want keyframe for these points as well. So I'm going to click on this and squash it down, then squash it up. All right, and the both of these actually have the same keyframe, so you don't necessarily have to add keyframe for them. All right, once you add it to one, it will be added to the other one here. All right, I think I've somehow stretched the ball. Okay, yeah, so we have that. All right, so we're ready to go, and I'm just going to close up my transformation dock here. So this is where the ball will be first, and I'm just going to, as I said, I haven't worked out the timing yet, so let's just say I'm just going to go somewhere down my timeline and move the ball. So we know that the trajectory of the ball, we want it to go up here. All right, and always remember to add the extra keyframe. So for the rotation, I'm going to click on that, add a keyframe for that, and for these points here, make sure that you have the same keyframes that you have for the original. So the ball goes from here to here, here to here, and of course we want the ball to go here. I think, well, it should be up because it's coming into the hoop like so. I'm going to go ahead and add the keyframes for the rotation point and for this point. Whoops. All Right now, animation takes a lot of time, so just be patient. All right, so bam, bam. So it goes from there, 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 to there, to there, and then we'll probably go somewhere here. Right, and then I'm going to add my keyframes here again. Right. Now, while you're animating, you can, I guess, have some music on or something to entertain yourself while you animate. Okay. Now, I think on this one here, I'm going to have the ball move up a bit, like so. And here, I'm going to have it move up a bit, like so. All right. So there. So it's, yeah. All right, so I'm liking that. Then from there, we don't know what will happen here, but it would come down through the hoop. And let me always remember, again, I keep on saying this, but always remember to add the extra keyframes for the other parts. Okay, so it does something like that, and then eventually it will come down. We want it to come down here, hit the ground, like so. Let me add the rotation keyframe here, and add this keyframe here. Now these buttons are so sensitive, so you'll have to be very careful. So bam, it's the ground there, and then it comes up something like so, right? Because it's bouncing off screen. And then I'm going to add the extra keyframes here, the rotation, and of course for the squash and stretch part, like so. All right, and then so it goes like that, then it bounce up, then it comes back down like so. And of course I won't have to animate out here because we can't see what's going on there, right? But I want to make sure that the ball is above the line, like there. Then I move it back over. Okay, so it's off screen, so we don't have to worry about it. But I'm just going to go ahead and add my extra keyframes, like so. All right, so we have those. So let's play this and see what it does. Okay, bam, bam, bam. Okay, all right. Of course, the ball will have to rotate as well. We haven't played with that yet. All right, but we've worked out the trajectory. All right, and that is looking fine. We'll work out the timing later on. Okay. Also, we'll have to animate the net reacting to the ball. Okay, but we'll do that last. All right, so this is looking somewhat okay to me. All right, so let's add those principles now, shall we? All right, so when it's here, let me close this transformation drop down here, so we can see only few points, few keyframes. All right, so it's here, and let's say we want it to stay for a while. So I'm going to duplicate this initial keyframe there. So click on the duplicate button here, and just left click and drag that keyframe there. And then make sure that you come off of that duplicate button, otherwise you'll be duplicating keyframes all over the place. All right, so it stays here, then maybe here, I want it to squash. So I'm gonna come here. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this keyframe first, so that way I know that all the keyframes are set, and then I can just go and alter them. So I want this to squash, so I'm going to click on this one, 1, 2. So I'm just going to squash it as much as I can, and always remember the volume of the ball. So you can't squash from top down and not stretch from, or you say now, well, you can't squash horizontally without stretching. No, you can't you can't stretch, you can't squash vertically without squashing horizontally. Yeah. And if that doesn't make any sense, what I mean is, what we've done is we've just shrunk the ball down, but we'll have to also move the width of the ball outward so that you maintain the volume of the ball. I hope that makes sense. And of course, the ball has been moved off the line. So, by the way, I have this line as my guide to show me where my ground plane is. Right? So, if we should look back, the ball squashes, right? And it maintains its volume. I mean, we could go down a bit more like so, right? And then move the ball on the line like so, then move it back and forth. All right, so we see that. So the ball squashes, and when it squashes, I want it to squash, then stay for a while before it stretches. So I'm going to move this point over. So squash, I'm going to have this, I'm going to duplicate this keyframe here, move it over like so, squash, stays, then right here, I think I'm going to have it stretch. So I'm going to duplicate this. Whoops, made a mistake. Let me immediately undo that. Right? I think I erased the other keyframe, but no biggie. Always try to be careful. So I duplicate that keyframe. Let me go back here. So squash, stay for a while, and then here, I'm going to duplicate this keyframe, move it there, go back on my select tool here. All right, so I'm going to move this over so that I can see. All right, and on this one, I'm going to be stretching the ball. So to stretch the ball, just move this point up and this point inward, like so. And always try to maintain the volume of the ball as well. And of course, I'm going to move this up because it's way below the line. All right, so let's see what we have. All right, so the ball is going to, I'm going to rotate the ball here because I want it to be going towards the net. So I'm going to be rotating it like so. And when you rotate it, remember to move it down on the line like so, right? Like so. All right, because we want it to follow the trajectory that we've set out. Okay, so that looks good. Well, it's not the best, but it's looking okay to me. All right, so we have it, bam, squash, stretch. When it stretches there, it stretches here, and then here, it stretch, boom, then it jumps, like so. And when it's here, we want to make sure that it maintains that stretch. So we could duplicate that frame and then move. Well, actually, let us do that. Let us duplicate this frame and just move it up. So duplicate, like so. Select the select tool here. Right. So it stretches, then here, we can just move it all the way up here, like so. And then let's move it, play it back to see how that looks. Okay, that is looking okay. So from here to here, right? And when it gets here, it might be trying to go back to its original form. So I'm just going to just stretch it a bit, right? So it doesn't look like so it looks like it was stretching, but now it's trying to go back to its original form. So let me do that. Rotate this like so, go back to see how that looks. All right, so we need to rotate it some more. Okay, and then once it's here, it goes back to its original form, like so. So we have bam, bam, bam. Okay, yeah, and that is looking, well, it's looking weird, but we'll work with it. Actually, I think I'm going to scale this down a bit, like so. Yeah. Then nothing but net, right? So yeah, we have the ball going in. I don't want this video to be long, so I'm going to try and wrap up as soon as possible. All right, so it goes in here. Let me move this keyframe down. Goes in there, and then it falls down here. Boom, like so. And then it falls out. All right, so we'll, as I said, we'll work on the timing of the ball afterwards. So once let's assume that we've finished blocking out our scene. Okay. Oh well, let me actually fix the rotation first. So let me go here, rotate this ball. Because the ball would be rotating, right? Like so. And here. Rotate. And here. Rotate. So keep an eye on that rotation. Like so. Boom. Like this. Now I'm gonna have this rotate. Ooh. Right, so it's gone all the way up here. So let me move this back down to the line here. And oh wait, it was supposed to be up because it was in the sky, right? My bad. Okay, so it's there and here. All right, sorry for the silence in between, but I'm trying to focus on what I'm doing. All right, so let's say we have that. Now, once you're finished blocking out your scene, we can go ahead and change these keyframes by right-clicking and clicking on ease in, ease out. So we have those ease in, ease out keyframes, like so. Actually, always remember to save. So I'm going to save this, save as basketball underscore anim. Yeah, always remember to save. So let me continue changing it. There's no quick way to select all of these and just right click and change all of them to ease in, ease out, sadly. So you'll have to do them individually, all right? But just take your time and change each of them. So let's play it and see how it looks now with the added in-betweens. And that actually looks okay to me. And I like the timing as well, so I'm definitely not going to change it. Yeah, I like the timing as well. All right, so I like that. Now I'm going to just remove my sketch here. Save this again. So now let's work on the basketball hoop reacting to the ball here. So let me click on the hoop and click on my select tool here. Now I'm going to turn off animate, and I want to, now this is the control points for the group. So I'm going to move it over here, somewhere over here, because I want to be stretching from this part here. And then I'm going to turn on back animate. All right, so first I'll have to work out what I need keyframes for, which is, I think I'm going to skew it. So this is what I'll need keyframes for, all right? All right, so let me just select that and just either just move my arrow keys with a left or right just to add that initial keyframe. So let's say it's here. I'm gonna move this here. So when the ball touches, I want this to react. So I want this to skew this way, like this. All right, so we have that. And actually, I'm gonna have it skew even further because the ball is still in the net like that. So we have, okay. Let me move this over. All right, so I'm liking this. Then as the ball is going down, it would be probably coming back over. So maybe here, it comes back, swings left. So it does that. But in animation, we know that, well, in real life, things don't just stop abruptly. Things don't just stop abruptly like that. So we want it to swing for a while. So it goes left, it goes right, before it comes back to its original place. And for that, I'm just going to duplicate the original here, like so. Okay, so let's take a look at that. All right, it's not the best, but you get the idea. I'm just going to change each of these to ease out. Like so, like so. All right, so now that could be much better. And actually, I'm going to go and alter it. So when it gets here, now it moves before the ball even gets into the hoop. So I'm going to move these over. And bam. All right, so before the ball even touches the ground, I want this to start reacting. So I want it to start going back. So I'm just going to move these over a bit, like so. And that is looking okay to me. All right. Now you could go in and make it even much, well, you could go in and make it much more precise, but I think this works for me. Wait, let me just play that one more time. All right. All right, yeah, so that works for me. All right, so we have our animation. So that's how I animate. And yeah, and I'm going to be wrapping up this video now. So, but if you want to learn how to make this scene a bit more dynamic, you can head over to my Patreon page and, you know, see how we can add stuff like camera movements and stuff like that to make it a bit more dynamic and a bit more interesting, right? But for basic animation, this is okay. All right, and I'm going to be sharing this file as well on my Patreon. So if you're a member there, you will be able to access this file. But yeah, this is hopefully the first of many scenes that we'll be animating. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.